The year is 30 AD. Jerusalem is not a huge city by the standards of the Roman Empire. Under normal circumstances, perhaps 40,000 people live within its walls. But during Passover, everything changes. Pilgrims pour into the city from every corner of Judea and Galilee. Travelers arrive from distant Jewish communities scattered across the Mediterranean. Families bring animals for sacrifice. Merchants bring goods to sell, and teachers bring ideas to debate. The population swells to more than 100,000 people. The narrow streets become crowded with strangers speaking different dialects. Every courtyard is filled. Every rooftop holds travelers sleeping beneath the stars. Above the city rises the Temple Mount. The Second Temple dominates the skyline, its enormous limestone walls gleaming in the sunlight. Plates of gold on its facade catch the morning light and shine so brightly that travelers approaching the city sometimes have to look away. For the Jewish people, this is the center of the world. But Jerusalem is not free. Roman soldiers patrol the streets. Their armor glints beneath the desert sun. From the massive fortress known as Antonia, overlooking the temple complex, they watch the crowds carefully. The high priest and the temple authorities try to keep the peace. They must serve God and at the same time avoid provoking Rome. It is a delicate and dangerous balance. So what was it actually like to live here? Not during the famous moments recorded in Scripture, not following a particular historical figure. Just an ordinary day for an ordinary person living in one of the most sacred and politically tense cities of the ancient world. Let's step back 2,000 years and experience a day in Jerusalem. The sun has not yet risen, but the Temple Mount is already awake. Priests move quietly through the temple courts, preparing for the first ritual of the day. Every morning, without fail, a sacrifice known as the Tamid must be offered. A young lamb is brought forward, perfect and without blemish. A priest performs the sacrifice, catching the blood in a bowl and casting it against the altar. The lamb is prepared and portions are burned upon the fire as an offering to God. Thick smoke rises into the early morning air, carrying the smell of burning meat and incense across the city. For the people of Jerusalem, this is not symbolic ritual. This is the central act of worship. It happens every single day. You are not a priest. You are a craftsman, perhaps a carpenter living in the lower city. Your hands are rough from years of shaping wood into doors, beams, and furniture. But like many others, you begin your day near the temple. The temple complex itself is enormous, covering an area larger than several modern city blocks. Built and expanded by Herod the Great decades earlier, it is considered one of the architectural wonders of the Roman world. The outer courts are open to everyone. Jews, foreigners, merchants, travelers, all may enter the wide plazas surrounding the sanctuary. But deeper inside the complex, the rules grow stricter. Only Jews may pass beyond certain gates. Beyond that lies the court reserved for Israelite men. Further still is the sacred space where only priests may walk. And at the very center stands the Holy of Holies, the most sacred chamber of all, where the high priest alone may enter, and only once a year. As morning approaches, the temple courts slowly fill with worshipers. Men and women separate into different areas. People speak quietly, reciting prayers and passages of Scripture. But before entering the sacred spaces, many must purify themselves. Across the city, ritual baths known as mikvahs allow worshipers to immerse themselves in water and restore ritual purity. Purity matters deeply here. Cleanliness is not just physical, it is spiritual. Within the temple courts, you see groups of men discussing matters of law and theology. Some are Pharisees, scholars who dedicate their lives to interpreting the commandments of the Torah and teaching how the law should guide everyday life. Others are Sadducees,
members of wealthy priestly families who control the temple and work closely with the Roman authorities to maintain stability. And there are still others, groups who believe the temple leadership has become corrupt. Some withdraw from society entirely, forming separate religious communities in the wilderness. Others whisper about rebellion. Jerusalem in this era is far from unified. Different visions of faith, politics, and the future compete with one another every day. By mid-morning, the city outside the temple is fully awake. You walk through the winding streets of the lower city, where most ordinary people live. The buildings are packed tightly together, built from pale limestone blocks. Small wooden shutters cover the windows. Flat rooftops serve as sleeping spaces during the hot summer nights. The streets themselves are narrow and uneven. Merchants shout prices from their stalls. Women bake bread in communal ovens. Water carriers move through the streets with heavy jars drawn from nearby pools and aqueducts. Children chase one another through the alleys, laughing and shouting. The sounds of several languages mix in the air. Most people speak Aramaic in daily life. Hebrew is heard in prayers and sacred texts. Greek is used for business and dealings with Roman officials. Jerusalem sits at the crossroads of cultures. Eventually, you reach your workshop. Your work is simple but necessary. Doors must be repaired, roof beams replaced, furniture built for growing families. The work is honest, but times are difficult. Taxes come from many directions. Rome demands its share. Local rulers collect their own. The temple requires offerings and tithes. By the time everyone is paid, little remains. Near midday, you pass through the markets surrounding the Temple Mount. This area is one of the busiest places in the city. Pilgrims arriving from distant towns need animals for sacrifice, and many preferred to purchase them here rather than travel long distances with livestock. Merchants sell doves, lambs, and goats for temple offerings. Nearby, money changers sit behind wooden tables. Foreign coins cannot be used in the temple treasury because they bear the image of the Roman emperor. Instead, pilgrims must exchange their money for special temple currency. The money changers provide this service for a fee. Some people accept this as necessary. Others accuse them of exploiting worshippers. Arguments break out frequently. Hovering nearby are Roman soldiers. They move through the crowds carefully, watching everything. Their presence is a constant reminder that the city exists under imperial control. During Passover, the tension grows even stronger. The festival celebrates the ancient story of liberation from slavery in Egypt. Thousands gathered to remember freedom while living under occupation. The symbolism is impossible to ignore. By afternoon, teachers gather in the shaded porticos of the temple complex. Debates unfold over theology, law, and philosophy. Traveling preachers speak to curious crowds. Some claim divine insight. Some promise healing. Some proclaim that God's kingdom is near. Jerusalem has seen many such figures over the years. Some fade into obscurity. Others attract attention from both the temple authorities and the Roman government. Disruption is dangerous here. The high priest wants stability. Rome demands order. Any hint of rebellion is crushed quickly. Later in the day, you walk through the upper city where the wealthy priestly families live. Here, the streets are wider. Homes are larger and decorated with mosaics and painted walls. Servants move through quiet courtyards. Members of the elite speak Greek comfortably and host Roman officials when necessary. They live between two worlds, serving their own traditions while cooperating with the empire that rules them. As evening approaches, you return home. Your family has spent the day preparing for the Passover meal. The house has been carefully cleaned to remove every trace of leavened bread. Unleavened loaves sit ready on the table. Bitter herbs, wine, and roasted lamb fill the room with rich smells. Soon, families across Jerusalem will gather together to remember the ancient story of their people's deliverance from slavery. Children recite the questions they have memorized. Parents retell the story of Moses and the Exodus. The festival celebrates freedom, faith, and identity. Outside the home, however, Roman soldiers still patrol the streets. After the meal and the prayers, when the children have fallen asleep, you step onto the roof of your house. The city is quieter now. Oil lamps flicker in distant windows. Smoke drifts upward from cooking fires. The temple still rises above the city, glowing faintly in the moonlight. But beyond it, you can see the watchtowers of Fort Antonia. Roman soldiers stand guard through the night.
Jerusalem in 30 AD is a city filled with hope, faith, fear, and tension. Some people wait for political freedom. Others await divine intervention. Many simply hope for peace. For now, the city sleeps beneath the watchful eyes of empire. And tomorrow, life will begin again. Markets will open. Sacrifices will rise from the temple altar. Pilgrims will fill the streets. For a moment in history, the fragile balance still holds. But within a generation, everything will change. The city will revolt against Rome. The temple will be destroyed. Jerusalem will be transformed forever. But on this ordinary day in 30 AD, none of that has happened yet. The temple still stands. The rituals continue. And life goes on in one of the most sacred and complicated cities the world has ever known.